Hello everyone, welcome back. In the previous session, we discussed about different approaches to move data intensive calculations into SAP HANA database, bottom-up approach. And we have seen how to search views in SAP HANA Studio, on how to analyze the different SAP HANA views and the data definition of SAP HANA views such as attribute, analytical and calculation views. And we have seen different ways to preview the data of views like raw data, distinct values, and analyzing or having a visualization of analysis on the data which we have modeled for all the HANA specific views. In this session, we will be discussing how to consume HANA views via native SQL. So if we have a HANA view, so how to execute them using native SQL, we'll be seeing this in this session. So I'll go into the system and I will open any of the HANA view. Suppose if I have this HANA view. So if you have any view should be associated to one schema. So suppose how you will be able to identify which schema this view will gets belongs to. So our root of any HANA artifact will was schema is the root of HANA artifacts. We will assign a package to schema. Under the package we'll be having all the this is suppose this is the package. Under the package we will be having all the artifacts, whether it is a um, HANA views, tables, normal views, any HANA specific tables, DB tables. All the tables will be associated to package. So if I open suppose this attribute view at underscore example. So if in the properties general properties tab in the down uh, you can see what is the name, what is the package it belongs to, it's activated by which system. So you can see uh, schema, the schema of this is belongs to this schema. So I can copy it as well. So I can copy and column view name. So if you see this is belong to data category dimension and column view name is big dot. If you see package fully qualified name, you can say if you wanted to access this attribute view using native SQL, you need to know the fully qualified name of this attribute view. Not only attribute view, any HANA specific artifact you wanted to execute using native SQL, you need to know the fully qualified name of that uh, view. So if you see this is big HANA and attribute view is the fully qualified name. It's a path. You can say it's a path of the attribute view. To execute this in a native SQL, you have to click on SQL console and then you have to write call function and you have to give sysbig. You have to give the fully qualified name. So sorry, you have to select. You can use select. You can use star from attribute view and click on execute. I didn't use from, so I'm using from now. I'm just executing now. So you can see the fully qualified name here for this attribute view. Select star from sysbig and sysbig is the schema name and ABAP HANA is the package name and this is the attribute view. Suppose if you wanted to execute some a calculation view, suppose this calculation view or this analytical view if you wanted to execute. So what I'll be doing was I need to know the complete qualified name. So I can have this is the qualified name. So this is the cube category. I'll double click this to get the right click it to copy it. So I copying it and I will open the SQL console and right select star from name. So I'm just So this is my attribute view. I can give where condition as well. So if I need a where condition, I will be giving the where condition where if I have currency code, so I can see control space I can give. So where ID, suppose control space if I give, I'm getting all the tables. So currency. So if you see, I'm getting current date, current time step. I will get all the code completion as well. I'm just giving here. So you can see it's executed. So this is how you do a native SQL select. So native SQL, all the fields are separated with comma separated. So if I wanted to access one ID and name, so how I would be calling was, I'll go back now. So I'll be calling ID, comma name, and I will execute it. So I got only ID and name successfully executed. So this is how you execute a SAP HANA specific view using a native SQL. So next concept was database procedures in SAP HANA. So I'll go to exercise as well. So I will be providing you how to call how to select a database means it's a case sensitive statement. If you wanted to access any product, suppose if I want to access so this thing, so I can open SQL console again. So this is some of the one of the attribute view. So if I give this is EPM demo attribute view. So I'm just executing F8. I'm just executing it. So I will providing this exercise as well with a where condition. So this is an attribute to 80 product. So 80 product is in EPO demo. So 80 product. So I executed that analytical view, attribute view. So next concept was database procedures in HANA Studio. So the database procedure is nothing but stored procedure which is used for pushing your data intensive logic into database layer. So all the HANA views, when you create anything in HANA, like HANA specific views, you are using HANA specific views to and stored procedures to push your data intensive logic into database layer. So you do stored procedure coding in SQL script, and this is an extension to SQL for expression for pushing data intensive application logic. So code to data paradigm, which I have explained you in previous sessions, is the key principle here working with SAP HANA. So main aim is pushing the data intensive calculations to HANA in order to reduce the data transfer from application to the application server. And it has advanced HANA capabilities from ABAP. So actually SAP HANA, like any database, provides a mechanism for executing logic on the data layer. So this mechanism is more powerful with views, and it can boost the performance if you use it properly. The the stored procedures are the database procedures are present in HANA here. So these stored procedures are SAP HANA specific language. They are based on SAP HANA specific language called SQL script. It's an extension to SQL. So these have any number of input parameters you can have it. It has the database procedure has input parameters, output parameters. So it contains read and write access to database. You can have read access, write access. So you can have insert statements into it, update statement into it. In a stored procedure, you can have insert, update, delete statements into a stored procedure. So next was how you create a stored procedure. So how do you create a stored procedure? So I'll go into system and I'll show you how to create a stored procedure. So to create a stored procedure, you have to create it in content folder in SAP HANA modeler perspective. In content folder, you can select any of the package. Suppose I'm selecting this package and I'm creating a procedure for you. New, you can have a procedure. As soon as when you click on procedure, it will ask for the name to meaningful name. So stored procedure naming convention was SP, stored procedure, and sample one. So label I'm giving same. So it is creating a new. You can copy from an existing stored procedure as well. So I'm just clicking on finish. So as soon as when I click on finish, I'll get begin and end statement. So begin and end statement is the where you can execute, you can write your logic to uh, means you can write your select query or you can write your insert query. You can do some calculations. You can store the results in an internal table. You can do everything in begin and end. So output parameters, input parameters, output parameters are here, which you get from the execution. Input parameters are the things which you input into this stored procedure. So it's like basically a method in your classes. In object oriented, you will have a method having an input parameter, output parameter. So this is how the stored procedure is designed in SAP HANA Studio. So basically, it's a like of it's like a method in a C. So I have a code snippet already present for procedures. So I will select suppose I select suppose simple store procedure. So simple store procedure for me will be, so I'm selecting just select star from product. So this is a simple store procedure for me. So I'm selecting this store procedure, just pasting it. So if you see in my store procedure, I don't have any input parameters, any output parameters. I'm selecting star from EPM demo 80 product. I'm selecting everything here. So I'm just activate it. Activate in with errors. I'll just select this. What is the error? Missing procedure body. So I didn't save it. So I have to save it as well. So I'll save it first. So then I will activate it. So so here activate doesn't save the code. You have to save first and then activate it. So here we will be able to execute, save and activate. You can execute as well. So when you execute it, it will be executed. So to execute the stored procedure, there you have to again use SQL console. So you have to use SQL console for executing the stored procedure. So you have to select your HANA DB, then only SQL console will be enabled. So SQL console. So call, you have to give the stored procedure name. So for here, the stored procedure name is for me. Here in the properties, I'll get the stored procedure name. Sysbic is my schema. So name of my stored procedure is SAP SP underscore sample one. So syspeak SP underscore sample one. So the syntax I already given in the exercise as well here. So this is my exercise. So you can see how to give fully qualified name and then package name. So I'm just copying it for to get exact result. So I'm just going to SQL console. I'm just pasting it. So syspeak is my schema. The package name was JABAP underscore HANA. So I will just use that. So it's case sensitive. So you have to give exactly same package name, and you have to use a forward slash, and then you have to use your stored procedure one and execute the stored procedure. You see the stored procedures resulting all the values from the attribute view. So if I give product ID and type code only, product ID only product ID and category. So if I go to my stored procedure here, SP sample. If I give only product ID here, product ID, and I save it. Again, I will activate it. So now I will execute my stored procedure. I'll go to SQL console. So I'll go back and I will execute my stored procedure again. Stored procedure. So on executing now, I got only product here because here in my stored procedure, I am selecting only product ID from the attribute view. So this is simple stored procedure. So you can have input parameters and output parameters as well for your stored procedure. So now I have one more stored procedure here, which I have defined a little bit complex stored procedure. So here what I am doing was I'm just selecting from business partner and address. So business partner and address were the two tables. So here I'm doing inner join for business partner and address based on the address ID, and I'm doing a filter condition based on a partner role. So I already showed you in the previous sessions that native SQL, when you are selecting a fields in your select query, you should do a comma separated values, and then when you select any database table, whether it is business partner table, address table, you have to give fully qualified name. So this, if I select these entire table, suppose if I'm selecting entire table and just copying it, so now I can find it as well. So if I wanted to find here with the entire qualified name in a global search, so it will search for me entire table. So if you see the table, SAP HANA demo, so it is there in SAP HANA demo package. So SAP HANA demo is my schema name. So in this schema name, I have SAP HANA demo content dot business partners. So in this demo, I have this procedure. So business partner procedure. So I can close this. So in sysbig schema. So if I go to catalog, if I go to sysbig schema, if I go to views, so I'm giving here control A. I'm doing a global search again, SAP dot HANA. SAP dot HANA. So if you see there are tables called SAP dot HANA. So I'm giving SAP dot HANA dot demo content. So I'll get again 32 tables. In this, I'll be having MD, EPM. So in the EPM data, I'll be having MD address. If you see MD address, so I'm opening this MD address. So if you see, this is the address table. So it is present in SAP HANA demo schema, column store, table name was this. So in my in my database procedure here, so what I'm doing was I'll go to content. I'm using in get address. So here in I'm just combining up two tables, business partner table and address table. So with the inner join, the fields that I am selecting from these two tables are partner ID, partner role, email address, company name, address. From these fields I am selecting from the business partner table, and these fields I am selecting from the address table. So now I'm filtering based on the partner role too. So I'm just executing now. So to call the store procedure, so I have to go to SQL console and then just copy this call statement. So I'll use call statement to execute this. So I'll just click on execute. So as soon as when I click on execute, I got the, based on the filter condition, I gave filter condition as 2. So based on the filter condition, I got the results. So to when you're defining a stored procedure, you have to write your logic in between begin of and end of. So you can have input parameters as well. You can have output parameters as well for your SQL. So if you give new scalar parameter or new input parameter, so you will be able to add in which schema you need an input parameter, which field you need to have an input parameter. So dynamically means as soon as when you execute a stored procedure, so you need to pass the input parameters. So you'll get the output parameters as well. So testing, you will test your HANA stored procedure using SQL console using call statement. So when you are calling your stored procedure, you have to give the fully qualified name of a stored procedure. That is nothing but your package name, your uh, your package name, and your schema name and package name. Entire path should be given to execute the result. So I'm just maximizing the result here. So you see, if you see the maximizing the result, I can see the history, progress, job log. So I'm just, I'm going to SQL console now. If you see here, when I execute this, I got the SQL statement here and the result here. So this is how you define your database procedure in SAP HANA, and this is how you will call your SAP database procedure using SQL console using call statement. So we have seen how to write a database procedure in HANA Studio and how to execute database procedure in HANA Studio. So next step was how you call your HANA procedure in ABAP. So there are steps to, so when you have your stored procedure in ABAP, stored procedure created in HANA Studio, so you can access the stored procedure in ABAP as well. The steps for that was you need to use native SQL to call your HANA procedure in ABAP. First, you will use the three classes which we have seen ADBC connectivity to your SAP HANA database. First thing was you will use CL SQL statement to create an object. So CL SQL statement, I will create an object. With CL SQL statement, I will execute the query. So when you are executing the query, the syntax for calling a stored procedure would be, so you have to use this type of statement with overview syntax. So you will have call, sysbic, and then the entire, which we have seen the stored procedure in a app with overview syntax, and we will write the you will use CLSQL result set to store the result into internal table. So here to execute a stored procedure, you will use ADBC connectivity. So ADBC connectivity, you will use the classes CLSQL statement, CLSQL result set, and CLSQL connection. So here the connection is not required to execute store your HANA procedure. So when you are creating an object for your statement, when you are executing, you have to call, you have to just use your native SQL in the executing query syntax. But additional to that SQL console execution, you have to use with overview syntax. So with overview will help you to execute this HANA procedure in a BAP. So if I go to system, so this is how you will execute your HANA procedures in a BAP. So what are the key takeaways from the from this unit was, first we have seen how to see what is the difference between OpenSQL and native SQL in context of SAP HANA. So OpenSQL has the common uniform semantics which is used across the every database. There are certain limitations in OpenSQL. So limitations uh, such as no unions possible, and expressions and calculations, segregated columns. So if you wanted to do some union, or if you wanted to do some right outer joins, these limitations are not possible with OpenSQL, with SAP NetWeaver 7.4 and below. So these are the certain limitations of OpenSQL. So you will use ADBC ABAP database connectivity to execute your native SQL. So ADBC is in ADBC you'll have three classes. The first class would be CLSQL connection to establish a connection to your HANA system. CLSQL statement to execute your SQL statement. So to define your SQL statement, whether it is stored procedure statement or whether it is a normal SQL statement, native SQL statement. So you'll frame a statement and you will use CLSQL result set to execute the query. So to store the result as well, so you'll use CLSQL result set. It is an uh, object-based environment to access your native SQL. So you have also seen difference between native SQL and OpenSQL. So in native SQL, you'll have comma separated columns, and you'll be using when you are accessing any table, you have to use schema name in your native SQL. You have HANA views as well. So HANA views such as analytical view, attribute view, calculation view. We have this HANA views as well. So we have seen how to create HANA views and how to call HANA views in ABAP, how to consume HANA views in ABAP. So consume HANA views using native SQL as well we have seen. So even in ABAP as well you can consume HANA views. So how you consume HANA views in ABAP is you have to create them in HANA views as external views. So we'll create HANA views as external views. So so database processes in ABAP in SAP HANA you have seen. Database processes are stored processes, how to create them and how to call them using SQL console, using call syntax we have seen, call with a fully qualified name. Your database processor will be having input and output parameters as well. So how to call HANA processes in ABAP. So in order to call HANA processes in ABAP, we will use again ADBC connectivity. So with the overview syntax, we will be calling HANA process in ABAP. So these are some of the key takeaways which we have discussed in this unit, code to data with SAP HANA as a secondary database. So in the next unit, we will be discussing about ABAP manager database procedures. So ABAP manager database procedures are nothing but if you wanted to write your native SQL logic or you want to have a database procedure from in ABAP, then you will use ABAP database procedures. So these ABAP database procedures are the code to data approach possible with the ABAP 7.4 and above. So these ABAP manager database procedures is used to move your data intensive logic into database layer. To access native SQL stored procedures, use ABAP manager database procedures. So in ABAP manager database procedures, with SAP NetWeaver 7.4 and higher, when you use SAP HANA as a primary database, then you will be able to use ABAP manager database procedures. If you have SAP HANA as a secondary database, then you would not able to create and you will not able to execute ABAP manager database procedures in ABAP. So, the performance improvement was the main concern here. So when you use native SQL in ABAP manager database process, so you will push your data intensive logic into database layer. So other databases also support stored processes as well by calling and creating them in ABAP is possible since a long back. So how to call stored processes in ABAP code and how to call native SQL in ABAP we will be discussing here in ABAP manager database process. So the approach which we followed here was top-down approach. So we will be creating a class in ABAP. This class, that class will implement a method called um, marker interface. So when we implement a marker interface to a class. So that class will get the features of all the methods of managed above managed database process importance. So we will be able to create these AMDBs only from ADT. You cannot create them using in the ABAP system. So only in SAP HANA Studio in ABAP perspective, you will be able to create a class and implement ABAP, IF marker interface. So you will create them in the ABAP. As soon as when you uh, activate, it will get deployed into SAP HANA as a stored procedure. So the no delivery unit is required to transport from ABAP system to HANA system since you are creating directly in the ABAP system. So there is no transport required. So AMDBs manages mainly SQL script code in ABAP. So they are you can write your SQL script and native SQL in ABAP using AMDBs. So AMDBs integrates SQL script syntax check in ABAP syntax check. That means that using ABAP, you are able to write SQL syntax as well. So it is used to create and manage stored procedures that is on HANA DB. So when you have SAP HANA as a primary database in for your ABAP system, then only you would be able to create these AMDBs. So what is the methods to create AMDBs? The method of creating AMDBs are, so you will be to create AMDBs, you have to implement methods of ABAP classes. So the class, you have to create a class and you have to implement a marker interface. Interface name would be IFAMDB marker HDB. So you have to implement this marker interface to get the methods of SQL script. AMD methods have to be marked with by database process syntax. So you have to have a by database process syntax to have to write your native SQL there, write your SQL script there. So method body contains SQL script code. So there would be exercise for creating AMDBs. So how to create AMDBs, I will be showing you in the system. So so to create AMDBs and how to execute them in AMDBs, I will be showing you in the next session. Thank you.